What's been the message really throughout to reassure your clients that things are kind of as BAU as possible, with as little disruption as possible?
Yeah, I think from our side, we've already adopted this kind of the cloud first strategy anyway. So, we were very fluid and we're very sort of agile in the way that we work, and all of our staff from the accounts through to the engineers are all able to work from home. So from us, it was a very easy transition to do that, and we've been doing now kind of solely working from home for at least the last 3 weeks. I think it's around there somewhere. We've got there's no intention from our side to start furloughing any staff. Even if we do have any staff going who do end up getting ill, our engineers have got a really nice crossover of levels of ability to be able to pick up and carry on in regards to the support and the work that we're doing. And even if it really gets to the point where we find that there's a high number of staff end up getting sick, we partner with other providers to be able to then still be able to offer those services that we've got with our clients.
I think one of the major positives that have come out of it, though, is some of the providers that are offering their services for free. Cisco, WebEx, for example, which we talked about. I mean, you must have seen many of them as well online.
Yeah, I mean, Cisco have been really good about this sort of thing. I think they were straight in there. They've offered the majority of their security services, especially the ones that will assist people with the remote working. That you can normally do a trial or a POC with a lot of these things, but they've actually extended those now, so that they've gone out for 3 months, and it's just letting people be able to use those technologies and keep their staff safe without having to have the commitment up front, which I think is a big concern for a lot of businesses. And from our side, I think at times like this, everyone's got to. It's a very different way of working. Everyone's got to be a bit more flexible, and if someone is interested in looking at doing anything like those, we're offering our services sort of for free to help them set up and get going with these extended trials, which is in essence what they are. I think from our side, it's something that we feel quite sort of strongly about, making sure that we can help people doing what they need to be doing and sharing our experience within that. But I think Microsoft have done a bit. So Zoom are obviously offering their services. You've got WebEx. So there are lots of these things now which are kind of available. But it's just really being able to pick which one suits yourselves as a business best, because there are lots of different technologies out there that you can kind of go for, and sometimes it can get a bit confusing about everyone says that they can do it, but it's actually what fits you. And I think part of what we do, or what our ethos is we really like to fit the right solution to that company, rather than just saying, here goes something off the shelf, just use that, and push everyone down the same route. So we're not tied to particular vendors or anything like that. So part of what we do is a lot of it's the consultancy side, but and that's what we're kind of offering our services for free on that.
Cool. Obviously, with something else we did touch on was video conferencing. Obviously, we're using Zoom at the moment. I know that we both use Microsoft Teams. A bit of a hot point this week has been, well, first off, it started with House Party, how secure that was, although myself and you were a little skeptical about that one. And then there's been the end-to-end encryption that's come out about Zoom, that it's not end-to-end encrypted. I mean, apart from the obvious measures like two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, what sort of tips would you give to people to make sure they are being as secure as possible, or things to look out for, maybe with things that might be a bit of a red flag for them?
Yeah, I mean, the House Party one was a very strange one, and for a product which is the guys who so it's Epic Games who do Fortnite, they bought it last year, I think, and it would be very unusual for them to have had a very dodgy application that would then start farming people's information. You do have, it's not impossible that there is something in there, and I think this is really key to why people should be making sure that passwords are unique to different applications and websites and services, because potentially if someone was able to get hold of a password and you then used it for other things like your online banking or Sonos or whatever it is that you know, people are saying have been hacked, you could potentially then open yourself up to a lot of other attacks. Just briefly on the house party, they've actually offered I think £1 million bounty for proof that it's been a smear campaign. So they are taking it quite seriously. I mean, you know, it's really going to affect them, you know, their business. But I think just generally, you know, it's the basics. You know, for every business, you should be making sure you're doing patching, making sure you've got strong passwords, as you said, 2FA, multi-factor authentication, making sure that you've got visibility on the network, keeping an eye on user accounts. And I think now, more important than ever, it's having that visibility, because as I said earlier, your users are now outside of your firewall. They might be VPNing in, but they're still kind of out of your vision. And I think with any cybersecurity, visibility is the absolute key to all of this. The other thing to keep an eye on is, for example, with firewalls, you've now got a lot more traffic coming through them. So it's making sure that those firewalls can cope with that level of traffic that's coming through. You know, people should be keeping an eye out for, there's a lot of phishing emails going around at the moment, especially around the kind of the COVID-19 and information, and click on here to get free immunization and what have you. And again, with staff being sat outside of the office environment, they don't have someone that they can just tap on the shoulder and say, what do you think of this? Does this look a bit dodgy to you? Start thinking about doing some phishing simulations and some extra staff training, and you know, in a way it's a nice way to keep in touch with the staff as well. You know, as a company, we have a daily video chat, so that we all have a catch up, and you know, just so that you don't feel as if you've got people in isolation. And I think, you know, the key to it is communication, definitely, but you know, the phishing is by far the biggest threat. Normally for any kind of malware that's coming in anyway, but especially now, there's just been a massive spike in it. So I think just keep an eye out for those red flags. Just, you know, if you're not expecting it, there's nothing wrong with questioning it. There's nothing wrong with phoning the company to make sure that what you have received is actually from the person you think it's meant to be from. Just keep an eye on what the return email addresses are. It's very easy to buy a similar domain and just change one letter in it, and all of a sudden, if you're busy, it's just too easy just to click respond, reply, and just send an email straight back. And once you've got that conversation going, that's when, you know, that's when the problems really start for most people. But I think email is probably the key one. But for the IT managers and so forth, making sure you keep an eye on your log files, your user accounts, and just sort of generally, it's absolutely about visibility.